Linda, I am so excited that you're on the Unleash Your Ambition podcast. You are one of my favorite
Oh.
people. I was going to say person, but I guess people, one of my favorite people in the world. So, can you please introduce yourself, share who you are, what you do, and how you help people?
Absolutely, Stacie. Always a pleasure meeting with you, spending time with you. Um, so I am Linda Sanderville, and I have a program that's also the same name as my podcast. It's called Love Yourself Liberated, and it really focuses on women who are looking to accomplish big things in their career. They have really ambitious goals for themselves. They're really driven in the mark they want to leave on the world around them, but they're struggling with burnout. And so, what I do is help them to really process the core root of why they are experiencing burnout. Usually, women who fall into this category, like myself, have been through many cycles of burnout. And so, we look at like why that keeps on happening so we can interrupt that cycle and get them on an entirely new path. We do mind body reconnection, reintegration. We make sure that their actions are aligned with what they actually value and not just what their, what their job entails or their business is demanding, but what they actually value so that they can create a loving and lasting legacy that is truly meaningful to them. So
Mm,
that is what I do.
wonderful. And I love what you do. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts because burnout, yeah, there's cycles of it over and over again. And but
Mhm.
there's something very specific I would love, 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 love for us to talk about today, which is about grief and burnout. Grief
Mhm.
and burnout. And I know that you mentioned before we hit record about like how sometimes we can't tell the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start with this topic? I'm very intrigued.
Yes. Yeah. This relationship between grief and burnout is something that I've seen in my many years of being a therapist. I have a private practice. I have a psychotherapy practice in my other life, and I've been doing that for quite some time. And so I've seen just how integrated burnout is with unfinished business, right? So losses that we've experienced, it might be loss of a loved one. It may be loss of some aspect of ourselves, right? Maybe it's a disability. Maybe it's an illness. Maybe it's a loss of some kind of identity. But that almost always comes up when I'm working with women who are in this realm of women who, on the outside, they look amazing. They seem like they have it all together. They're very accomplished, they present really well, and yet there's often this driver of just this unfinished stuff that is really haunting them, that's really draining them from the inside out. And so even though they look like, they're going to go the distance, they've got it all together, there's this aspect of their life that really needs a lot more attention so that they can truly thrive and not just look like they are thriving, but to actually experience what thriving is like. So that's where it started, which is my work with clients. And then I've had my own recent experience with major grief and loss, which really just cemented this. It actually, it created this culmination where a lot of things came together. And I saw that, yeah, the work that I've been doing all along, this really is the work, right? Like the burnout, sometimes we think it's about like, oh, slightly adjusting our schedule or, making sure that you have more service providers. Someone else can cut your lawn or someone else can do your laundry, right? Like it's not that simple. There's other things that need to be dealt with from the inside out, from the heart and the mind and the body, because grief is held in our body as well. Burnout patterns are held in our body. So it comes from my work, but it also comes from my personal experience. Just how powerful these changes can be when it comes to quality of life and really loving your life.
Wow. So lots of us business women, career women, professional women are
Yeah.
hot messes. And I know what that's like. I've been a hot mess
Yes.
many times
Hmm.
over.
Hmm.
And I love your holistic approach to this because it's not about anything external. It goes so much deeper. And I think I think it's great that I shouldn't even say great. I think it was a great reminder for you to
Mhm.
do the work that you help your clients with uh,
Right.
through your period of grief. So, do you
Hmm.
mind like going
Hmm.
into your journey, like whatever
Hmm.
you feel called to share? Because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
there are many women right now listening or watching this, this podcast, and either they're experiencing grief or they're experiencing burnout or they're experiencing both and they don't know how to navigate any of this. And they've
Right.
tried to get the support. They've tried to, do all the surface level stuff that I guess all everyone's doing, but like I would love, 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 and I that is my word for the day, by the way, love. Uh,
Oh,
to share your journey, your
yeah.
journey through all of this and how you were able to apply, you know, what you help your clients with and how it
Mhm.
has impacted your life to right now.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, the reason I came up with this name of Love Yourself Liberated is because so much of this work that needs to be done is from the inside out. It's not something that someone can necessarily give you. You have to decide on it for yourself. And we have a lot more control over some of these factors than we may believe at times. We can't control everything, but we can certainly control a lot of how we respond to our experiences and what we do with the plate that we've been served, right? So even though this more major grief and loss experience was pretty recent, I've had many instances of burnout, of just returning to my old cycles, my old patterns of being overly responsible, of driving myself really hard, setting just wildly ambitious goals. Not that I wasn't capable of, but maybe weren't even in my own best interest, right? Just because I am a naturally ambitious person, I am naturally driven. And so it really was a matter of changing my orientation to my idea of success, right? Coming into a different relationship with what is good enough for me personally, not just what is someone else telling me that I should want or seek after or run after that goal, but really deciding what matters to me, what are my values, what's going to be fulfilling for me in life, right? If my life was over tomorrow, would I be happy with how I spent today? Would I have shown in the way that I spent my time, with where I put my energy, with who I spent my time talking to? Would I feel like, wow, yes, that was a good choice, right? Like I'm glad I did that in the time that I had left. So I think that's where it comes back to really changing the relationship that we have with ourselves. And that's what I've seen over my experience in my career journey, as well as the women that I work with, is just that we have to get to know ourselves better. It's almost like we have to get to know ourselves all over again. And we have to do this many times throughout our life, right? This is an ongoing journey. But once you've done it thoroughly and holistically the first time, you have all these tools where you can keep on doing that whenever that need arises, whatever shift happens in your life. Because maybe you're retiring and going into a second career. Maybe you have kids and they're leaving the home and you're about to be an empty nester. Maybe you're going through perimenopause or menopause, right? All these kind of major shifts that tend to happen to us as women. You can have these the skill set that helps you to kind of return to yourself and recognize, okay, what is important to me now, and then how will my life display that and demonstrate that moving forward from today, and then really taking action steps that will help you to be in alignment so that you can feel more fulfilled. So when it comes to that burnout and that grief, those are both experiences where you can really feel a loss of self, you can feel a loss of orientation, like, oh, do I even want this business anymore? Oh, like I don't want to be in these relationships anymore. Like it can really, both of these things can really cause you to reevaluate like almost everything else in your life. And sometimes this is really unsettling, but I think that there's a lot of good that can happen there in that space if you know the tools to navigate it in a healthy manner.
So this is all about the holistic approach to coming back to
Mhm,
yourself, and also taking a pause instead of just pushing through
mhm,
it, because I think in this society, as women, we are encouraged to go, 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 push, 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 be the independent woman,
mhm,
to one up, I guess, other people in our
mhm.
professions, our careers, our businesses. And it does so much more damage than
Right.
good. Because I was thinking, Linda, while you're sharing this with me, I was like, oh my goodness, I never even thought this up until this very moment, but when I burned myself out in 2013, I was grieving and I was burned out at the same time. And I was grieving because I had experienced two miscarriages, and I
Right.
never allowed myself to really process that and pause. I was just running, and running nowhere fast,
Mhm.
because I was looking at other people's definition of success. So, and I've seen this happen with many other people, peers, family members. And I think it is so important for people like you to help guide us through these moments, because we can definitely lose ourselves right before the burnout, right before the grief. And I love what you said. I'm saying love again. That is the word of the day. Um, I really like that you shared. No, I'm gonna just say it. Love that you shared about, like, if I die tomorrow, will
Mhm.
I be happy with what
Yeah.
I've done to now, the relationships, how I've treated myself, the things that I'm actually doing to fill my time? That is a great question to reflect on,
Yes.
because it's easy for us to just go into automation mode.
Mhm.
Our brain automatically does that already to conserve energy. But when we are consciously aware of the things that we're doing, and we're consciously aware of why we're doing the things that we're doing,
Right.
and defining our own success, what does that look like? And I've had to go through different iterations of this
Mhm.
myself. um and yes, I've lost myself in the process. I recognize it. How fast I move through it, i I can't put a timetable on it, but I know having support, um coming back to myself, has really helped. And I know that with someone like you who can help someone through any of this, just feeling more liberated, period. It doesn't even have to be about grief or burnout. It's just coming back to who you are. What do you want? um do you want to remove people, places, things from your life so you can really feel liberated?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Something that doesn't often get put into the category of grief is even grieving old patterns, right?
Mm,
So if we
yeah.
struggle with people pleasing, right? If we
Yeah.
struggle with care, just constant, chronic, automatic caretaking, right? Not thoughtful, intentional caretaking. I have two little boys, and yes, I want to take care of them, right? But if you are just sort of automatically falling into certain patterns that are just proving to be very unhealthy for you, it's constantly pulling you out of balance in your life. Those are things that you may need to grieve and let go of. And sometimes we just try to work on changing it as fast as possible because we like quick results. I know I do. And it's very enticing. But when we don't take the time to actually sit in awareness of like, oh wow, this is how I was operating. This is why I was operating that way. Um, this is the reason why it actually did serve me some good in the past, and yet it's not appropriate anymore at this time in my life. Right. Being able to do that in a really thorough way helps you to embrace your desire for change and the process of change without judging yourself, putting yourself down, becoming hypercritical, and moving too forcefully into something new before you're ready. I think we do that a lot. And that brings me into just coming into our feminine energy too. So we all have a balance of masculine and feminine, and this is a good thing. We need both. But a lot of times when we're in the world of business or entrepreneurship, or trying to, to build something brand new, we can lean really far, really heavy into the masculine energy, and therefore lose ourselves, because we are losing that part of us that needs softness, that needs time for a pause, that needs time to just sort of sit and relish the moment, or just to be. And that's why mindfulness and yoga is such a big part of the group coaching that I do, that experience, because I want folks to really practice that sense of just sitting in the being mode, right? Not having to produce something or accomplish or prove or, generate some massive revenue, flood or something, like, but to actually just be present with yourself, because that's where joy is cultivated. It's not in always seeking the next goal or the next dopamine hit. We actually need time to develop serotonin as well, have that pleasure, oxytocin, have that sense of connection with others and ourselves. So these are the things that can often be missed when we're in the pursuit of the goal. But slowing down to pay attention to these aspects of ourselves, or to fully grieve a loss, right? It doesn't mean that you have to put off going after your goals forever. It just might mean that you need a little bit of a pause. And oftentimes, and you'll hear so many people say this, oftentimes you actually need to slow down to speed up. If you don't slow down, right, you just speed all the time, always hitting the accelerator, first of all, yes, you will burn out. That's a whole other issue. Your body will say stop for you. But it actually doesn't get you to your goal any faster, and you can miss a lot that you later regret when you approach your goals in that manner.
Yes, yes. And not just keep going and chasing that carrot for and end up burning out, but running away from grief, running away. It's
Hmm.
also, yeah, it can also
Hmm.
be running away,
Yes.
There's just, it's very complex. And you being able to work with your clients and have them just be and not do is far more powerful, because especially for women that are ambitious, that are conquering their mountains, doing amazing things in this world, in their lives, that it's easy to just keep going, 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 and chasing that next milestone or goal, and or one-upping yourself. And I agree with you. Like, I think it's far more powerful to slow down than anything, especially if you've been going for a while. Like, that's not good for our minds, our bodies, our spirit. It's not good for none of that. And I know this is not really promoted much through social media. Of course, that doesn't tell the whole story. So I love it that you're bringing this conversation to the table. You're sharing this, because this is something that I don't feel enough people are talking about whatsoever.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we are, I don't fault anyone for running away or for being in avoidance, right? Because we are in a society that often rewards those who will push themselves to the limits 24/7. Like, we're rewarded for that, it's encouraged, even though it comes at a price. So, for me personally, I lost my mom, as you already know, Stacie. I lost my mom about 6 months ago. And so it's still very fresh. I did give myself time to pause completely. Like, I kind of just didn't show up online, right? And I'm still kind of coming back into that now. But I paused a lot of things for that period of time, because I had so much on my plate with dealing with her passing emotionally. It was a complete shock. It was not something that was expected. And then, the funeral and all these different things, and just meeting with family and things of that nature. And I wanted to make sure that I did not shortcut my grief experience. I know all too well, as someone who's also a counselor, that when you don't allow yourself to be in that grief process when it's happening, it just means you'll have to do it again later on. And actually, it might be even more messy then, because so much else has accumulated along with it. So I just wanted to just give myself the time, the gift of time, because again, thinking about if this was my last day on earth, right? It's like, what really matters to me? I wanted to be there with my family and my husband, my boys. I wanted to be there with my ongoing clients. I did find working with them to still be an important part of my daily life, not too long after that was over, but I wasn't taking on anything new, right? I wasn't really making new commitments. I wasn't pursuing big goals or anything like that. I was really just taking time to be present with myself, come back to the types of practices that are nurturing for me, including hypnosis, including yoga, including my spiritual practices and being in my faith. Those were the things that I really gave my time and attention to because I know that time in some ways is fluid. It moves very fast, and yet it's a mysterious thing, right? Things can happen instantaneously when it's the right time for you, when you're ready. And so I don't have to hustle and struggle every moment of every day to get to the goal. I can also rest. I can tend to myself. I can seek out nourishment and still arrive there just as fast. Because there's just this energetic thing with when we're pursuing, right, what we desire.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always have to get to it through struggle and hustle. That's not the only way to arrive.
I love, oh my goodness. I need to choose a new word.
Come on, Stacie.
Well, what I wanted to say is that you slowing down, I mean, you needed that. That was okay. And you didn't feel any guilt around that, which you shouldn't. And nothing fell apart. Everything worked out as it should.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have a renewed sense of self, now that you've resurfaced and um in different ways. I'm not saying like you disappeared or anything like that. You never did, but you slowed down. Your presence wasn't as prominent, but still things were working out. Nothing fell apart. And you did, do the things and be in the places that you wanted to be, for as long as you want to. Like there's no timetable with this. Like there's no pressure you should put on yourself, especially if you're grieving. Things will work out as they should, you know. And I know it's kind of hard to think that at times. I knew, at least let me speak for myself. I know there's times where my mind's like thinking I need to do all of these things in order for this thing to work out in my business or in my life. And it's like, no, like stop trying to control, you know, like sit, relax, you know, you know, sit with yourself, what are you doing? So thank you so much for sharing all of this, because I think it is a crucial, part of our entrepreneurial journey, or even bigger than that, our life journey,
Right.
because nobody
Exactly.
teaches us this. We're not taught this in school, most likely
Exactly.
not taught this in the households and the environments we were raised in, unless the parent or caregiver was teaching these things, but that's far few in between, which is why, again, I say that I am so thankful and I am so happy to be able to have you on the podcast to share your voice, share your message, because there's so many women out there suffering when they don't even have to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Linda, I know time is short, but of course you're going to be back on the podcast. But for right
Mhm.
now, where can people connect with you outside of the podcast?
Yeah. So certainly you can just scroll over in your podcast app to my podcast. No kidding. But you can find me at Love Yourself Liberated. And I do have a lot of recordings there that you can listen to and being encouraged and inspired by. And they are very, excuse me, very action based. So there's a lot of practicals and tools that I give on the podcast. You can also find me on YouTube, Linda Sanderville, and on Instagram, Linda Sanderville. I am the only Linda Sanderville, so it'll be pretty easy. And I'd love to connect with you. I truly enjoy working with clients who are in this space, who are kind of really waking up the desire for more, right? They don't want to like throw away their entire business necessarily, but they know they need to do it differently. They want to live their life differently. And they're really ready to dive deep and to come to just a more peaceful, centered, confident version of themselves through this work. And I got you. So come find me.
I love it. That's my final love for today. So I will make sure that I will have all your information on the show notes page for this podcast episode. So for those of you watching or listening, look in the description box, go to the unleashyourambition.com website or connect with Linda. If you can remember everything that she just shared, go there. But all the details will be somewhere wherever you are listening or watching this episode. Linda, final words of wisdom for that driven, high achieving, and goal achieving, high ambitious. I don't even know what I'm saying.
We know what it is. We
Final
know
words
we
of
are.
wisdom. Yeah. For that woman, that's a goal,
Yeah.
go-getter. She knows what she
Mhm.
wants. She's
Mhm.
achieved so much success, so much money. She's
Yeah.
done it all.
Yes.
But,
Yes. But.
but
And that but is important.
yes, it is, right? But she has not taken the time to really fill into herself and actually do the things that she wants to do because she's been conditioned to think that she needs all of
Yeah.
these other things to be successful, whatever that is,
Yeah.
white picket fence, marriage,
Right.
college, X amount of dollars in the bank, properties,
Right.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell her to help her know that her time is now to look within?
Yes. So I just want to invite you that the possibility is there for you to be liberated from any of the old lies, the old stories, the chronic sickness inducing patterns of way of life. The opportunity is there for you to become liberated from those things. And as afraid as you may feel to take a step back, I promise you that there is so much more on the other side. You will be thanking yourself for really changing your relationship with time, with the idea of success, what's good enough, and really embracing yourself authentically. Um, the rewards are going to be 10 times beyond what it is you have now. I can promise you that from having lived it, having seen my clients live it, I can promise you that it gets so much better.